But there's no my pleasure. There's no you're welcome. But besides from the communication aspect, I think it's almost done something to the way we think. Our attention span. You don't have to think about what we're saying because we've already typed it. We have no attention span. We only want quick and easy rewards to quick and easy questions. And we have no patience. Maybe we never had patience, but nowadays I think it's really showing. And some of these events between the way we communicate and the way we're mobile or disconnected from our community, I think it's led to a lost generation. You look back at the last 10 or 15 years, the technology has exploded. I mean, it's pretty amazing what we could do. The mental power and innovation of our economy and our community, our military might, wealth accumulation. We have all these things and we focus on ourselves, but we're lost at the same time. It almost sounds like history is repeating itself. The Israelites always thought they were fantastic, wonderful people. God was always on their side and would raise them. And they go on doing well. They get their the equivalent to our fancy car and house, live a good life, and they start losing their way. And no one could pinpoint, hey, on October 16th, while listening to Mark, I lost my way. I think it happens over time. It gets watered down a little every month, a little bit every year. Because we're humans, we tend to forget all the bad things and just focus on the good parts. And I think this is the beginning of the cycle. The Goldman Sachs, which is a huge Wall Street bank, one of their economists described what's going on in the economy, and I think you could describe it, what's going on in our society pretty accurately. He said the U.S. economy is an overweight former athlete. And I love that description, because when I think of an athlete in its prime, I think of someone who's trained hard. They don't like last place. They're dedicated. They're on a mission to be the best in their field or to win a world champion. They're focused. They know what they want to do. Don't get in their way. And then you see some of these players after they retire, well, they're all still pumped up, but that confidence is kind of turned into something else. And they expect the same results. They expect to be noticed. They want the fans, but they've lost that part. And they've replaced confidence with arrogance. Mm-hmm. We need to be careful of that too. I haven't been a parent, so I hope this comes out the right way. I haven't had to deal with any of this, and I'm sure my kid will be the best at whatever they want to do too, just like other parents. But I think part of this started in our society when we gave a trophy for everything. And what I'm seeing as an employer is a real hard clash of, well, my mama always told me I was perfect. I always got a trophy for everything I did. And they stopped working hard because everyone was praising them all the time. Well, I didn't have to work hard. I know I'm great. That's why I didn't prepare for this today, folks. Well, this is fueled part of a sort of a lost generation. So financially, I think a lot of us feel lost. I know I look at my client list, and there's a lot of suffering. There's been no wealth generated for decades if you look at the stock market. Retirements have been lost through major corporate scandals. There's been a tremendous amount of sacrifice in the small business community and as employees with minimal gain, if any gain. resulted in a lot more stress, worry, and something really surprising. Seeing people focus on themselves more now than ever. A couple of years ago, in the height of the economy, I would ask people, if you had just a little time, if it slowed down just a little bit, and back then people went, wow, that'd be great. If it slowed down just a little bit, what would you do with your time? And I had hiking Appalachian Trail, go see Americana. Well, on the top 3 too was I would volunteer more. Yet, in this era of stagnant high unemployment, volunteerism has actually stabilized, and in some areas of nonprofits has declined. And so we're having part of our society that would just rather stay home and worry a little bit more about themselves than even go out and help someone else. The problem is when we focus on ourselves, I think it's kind of like sin. Why do people sin? Well, there's some sort of short-term satisfaction. Otherwise, we wouldn't do it. Sure, the road leads to a bad ending, but there's some sort of short-term gratification that we get out of it. And when we think of ourselves, and we always place ourselves first, we get that same gratification. We go buy something, and that makes us feel good for a little bit. Maybe it's a nice house or a fancy car, some clothes. And we could tell people what we drive, or what neighborhood we live in, or, oh, yeah, guess what this label is. That's right, I got it at that fancy store. And it makes us feel good for a little bit. But I think there's still that emptiness that punches inside of us. And I wonder if we just focus on someone else first, or maybe just even, we'll start out slow. If we just focus on someone else, half an hour a week, an hour a week, help them out of a tricky situation. Could that help us fill that void? In Deuteronomy 14, verse 28, it says, every third year, you are to use your entire tithe for a local welfare program. And that's a pretty powerful statement. And this is not saying be involved in your community, that's saying give your financial resources. So, when was the last time we tithed? When was the last time we gave that amount of energy to our community? Aren't we supposed to love our neighbors? Be our brother's keeper? Maybe this could fill the void. Maybe this could help us stand for something, just not ourselves. Perhaps this could stand for something more than just buying something for ourselves. Maybe this could stand for something greater than ourselves. Now, because volunteerism hasn't grown as greatly as we'd like, there's a certain entity that steps in and does the things that we complain about that aren't being done. And we moan and beg them to come in, and then when they come in, they just can't do anything right, and we complain about that too. That's the government. And there's some interesting things that are going on here. Politicians, how do politicians get elected? I make a lot of promises, and I spend a lot of money, and that's easy, because none of that money is mine. And so since I start spending more and more money, I get to raise your taxes, right? Because that's how we have to spend for more and more social programs. And then over time, you get the government trying to run social programs